Hi, I'm Dan Danford. We're shooting another episode of Money Made Easy for DadsDivorce.com. Our question from a viewer this week: I routinely have a credit card balance and can't seem to get it down, thanks in part to the high interest rate. What are some suggestions to getting my debt under control? Well, the first thing that pops up is the notion of consolidating that debt someplace else. One of the problems with credit cards is they do have relatively high interest rates, and you don't get the benefit of volume. You may have fairly low balances on a number of different credit cards, and if you consolidated them into one loan of one kind or another, you quite possibly could get a better interest rate and lower payments. The only problem with that is, for many people, they go through the consolidation problem and then they start spending again. So later on they end up with this consolidated loan plus the credit cards, and I don't want you doing that. But the first step could be finding a good way to consolidate those into one loan. If you have, say, a credit line on the mortgage of your home, or you have a friend who works in a bank that might be able to help you do that, that would be one thing. It would be try to eliminate that high interest rate. The other thing that's interesting is today's a good time to be exploring that topic, because interest rates are very low today. Partly because of the bad recession we went through, the Federal Reserve has lowered interest rates practically across the board. So you ought to be able to get a decent loan at a favorable rate, assuming your credit isn't bad. But let's go past that now. That's a first step if you can. The next thing that I'd suggest about having credit card debt is that taking care of the problem takes two kinds of discipline, and that's why it's hard for people. The first discipline is that you have to have the discipline to pay down the credit card each month. Okay? Now, the credit card will say, here's your minimum payment, X number of dollars. But you and I both know if you just pay the minimum amount, it'll take you years and years and years to pay it down. So where you have to exercise the discipline is you have to say, I'm going to pay more than that. I'm going to pay as much as I can to pay it down early. So that's the first thing. You have to have the discipline to pay it down. At the same time, you have to have the discipline not to be spending comparable amounts that you're paying down. So you have to have spending discipline as well. And those two combinations shake a lot of people up. Now, one of the things I'd suggest in terms of spending is to declare a moratorium on your spending. Now, why this is easy is because if you sit down, or I sit down with you and I say, hey, look, the only way this is going to go away is if you don't spend any extra money until it's taken care of, for many people that's psychologically painful. To just look into a future that goes on forever and say you can't spend money, that's really, really tough. So what I would suggest to you is a little bit different. And I would just say, hey, look, don't spend any extra money for the next 30 days. Okay? Now, most of us can do almost anything for 30 days. All right? Now, when the 30 days is up, then you can decide whether or not you want to renew that for another 30 days or another 60 days or whatever. But it's a day-by-day process instead of just you can't ever do it again. So I think that's another step, is to break it into increments so that you can get it taken care of. One of the things I say about paying down debt is start with the smaller balances first. The reason you do that is because if you have several different credit cards, and some of them have small balances and some of them have large balances, when you pay off the ones with small balances, that creates some success. And that goes along with what I said about the moratorium a second ago. And that is, every time you enjoy one of these successes, celebrate it. If you go a month without spending, celebrate it. If you pay off one of your credit cards, celebrate it. Go out to a show. Go out to dinner. Spend cash preferably, but go out and celebrate your success, because that's what creates that feeling that I'm making progress. Treat it like a game. You know, most of us, especially guys, love playing games. We have competitive streak. We love athletics, okay? Well, finances is the same way. You set up a plan, and then as you do the steps of the plan, and as you're successful at those steps of the plan, celebrate your successes as you go along. Truthfully, if you'll do it this way, you will succeed at what you want to do, which is pay off your credit cards much faster than you expect and much less painfully than you expect. And that's our goal here. We want to make your money easy for you. This is Dan Danford with another episode of Money Made Easy. Thanks.